to go private or to stay public? That is a fierce question floating right now in Tesla CEO Elon Musk's mind at this hour. Right now on your screen, the stock is still halted. Why? Well, this afternoon, he tweeted out, quote, "Am considering taking Tesla private at $420 per share, funding secured." That's what he said, funding secured. Investors reeling the minute that hit the tape, figuring out what to do next. Well, they were sure what to do next. They spiked the stock, and the market cap went above $62 billion. Fox Business's Hillary Vaughn on top of the story with the details, along with Ross Gerber of Gerber Kawasaki, a Tesla investor who confirmed Elon Musk's tweet was real, and actually from Elon himself just a moment ago. Ross, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm just going to quickly go to you for a second here. You got this from Elon himself?
No. I got it from the investor relations department. I don't communicate with Elon.
Okay, but clearly they do. So tell us exactly what he said.
Well, basically, when the news broke, we were concerned it was a hack because, A, they used 420, which we thought was funny, and B, it was very unexpected. So I emailed my investor relations contact and asked if it was a hack and is this really Elon? And he confirmed it was really Elon and that the company may release information later today. So, we were just very happy that it wasn't a hack, and we like this movement in the stock, obviously.
Where do you suspect it goes once the news is official?
Well, I think once the news is official, he's offering 420 in theory. You got to have some discount, based off reality. So I'd like to see the stock trade around 380 to 400. But it shouldn't trade more than that unless investors very much jump on the bandwagon here and push the stock over 420, basically saying we don't want to give you the company this cheap.
Wow.
Because 420 is a very cheap price for Tesla based off our estimates.
Okay, so folks, once again, Tesla is halted at $367.25 a share. The second it starts trading, we're going to get that. But in the meantime, Ross, stay with us. Want to bring in Hillary Vaughn. Hillary, this all began at around, well, I noticed it at around 12:50 p.m. Eastern time on the East Coast here. And then immediately I saw the market cap spike. Kind of work this through for investors who are just tuning in.
Right, Liz, there's been a flurry of tweets. I want to start with the most recent. Elon Musk just moments ago actually responding to a user on Twitter who asked, could we still invest once you go private? And he said, quote, yes, but liquidity events would be limited to every 6 months or so, like SpaceX. As you mentioned, Elon Musk dropping this bombshell on Twitter, following up with details, though, leaking out as he continues to spill this information. Investors kind of hanging on every tweet as Musk gives out more details about what going private may look like. You have short investors like David Einhorn to more long-term investors to people who still may be interested in investing even after they go private. Musk tweeting out a message to everyone. My hope is all current investors remain with Tesla even if we're private. Would create special purpose fund enabling anyone to stay with Tesla. Already do this with Fidelity's SpaceX investment. Now Musk continues to reply to Twitter users, as we see, who are begging for more information, and as investors navigate a lot of uncertainty here. One user pleading with Musk to have a provision for retail investors, people who invested with a long-term strategy for the company or those who got in before 2017. The user tells Musk that it would only be fair to convert those shares to private shares in a new private Tesla company. Musk seeming to reassure the user, tweeting back to him directly saying, quote, absolutely, am super appreciative of Tesla shareholders, will ensure their prosperity in any scenario. And the Tesla CEO doubling down on the idea, tweeting publicly that shareholders could either sell at 420 or hold shares and go private, saying tweeting exactly that. Also, there's no word on who this mystery funder is, but the tweet follows reports that Saudi Arabian sovereign wealth fund has built about a $2 billion stake in the company. And as you said, he still plans to stay in charge even if they're private.
That's what I want to ask you about, Ross. The Saudi Arabian sovereign fund going heavily into this, taking a large percentage, but still, I guess, a minority stake here. Could they be the ones who offer the funding? Kind of work this through in your mind. Is the halt continues here at $367.25. Tesla not moving right this second. Ross?
I think you've got it right here. The money is coming from Saudi Arabia. You know, they are very desperate to diversify their economy there and especially move away from an oil-based revenue stream, which is how they've always survived. So Tesla makes a lot of sense for them as an investment and a strategic partner. But for Saudi Arabia, $2 billion is like a penny, you know? So like for them to put 20 billion or 30 billion to a company like Tesla is actually a legitimate thing. And then when you look at the Vision Fund, like the SoftBank Fund and the investments they've made for tens of billions of dollars in really, you know, quite shaky companies, you know, they could also be interested. They also announced today they wanted to sell some of their Japanese telecom business. Maybe they want to redeploy that money into Tesla. So I don't think it takes Elon too many calls to find $40–50 billion. And the way he's talking, he wants to keep existing shareholders whole, which means he won't have to raise that much money to buy out the rest, essentially. So, you know, this is a win-win for everybody.
Tesla CEO Elon Musk tweeted a surprising revelation that sent investors into a tizzy. He wrote, "I'm considering taking Tesla private at $420, funding secured." Over the last year, Musk and Tesla have been facing greater scrutiny from investors and analysts as the company burns through cash and struggles to meet production targets. But is going private a real possibility? For more, I want to bring in Bloomberg Tech's executive editor, Tom Giles, here in San Francisco. And in New York, we have Ivan Feinseth, Chief Investment Officer at Tigris Financial Partners. So, Ivan, what's your reaction to this?
Well, one of the incredible things about somebody as brilliant as Elon Musk, I think he tends to be a little impulsive. Going private at that level really wouldn't make sense for a number of reasons. The company needs funding to grow, and to go private at $420 a share would probably be a total of $72 billion, less the about $14 billion that Elon Musk has. He would probably have to finance around $58 billion, even in rates in the low teens, let's say 12.5%, would be about $7.1 billion in interest every year. And even though he projects to be cash flow positive by the end of this year, that would not be enough cash to pay the debt. More importantly, he needs to raise $2 billion to build his new China factory. He's going to need to raise additional money to build the semi-truck. So when you need to raise money, going private would not make sense.
So we have to take this seriously. He's a public company CEO. But Tom, if this was April, I would say, is this an April Fool's joke? And people are saying, is this a pot joke? 420.
420, you know, it's not April, but he's made jokes before. He loves to burn the shorts. He talks about it all the time.
Is that legal? For a public company CEO to do this during trading hours?
How much sympathy is the SEC going to have for hedge funds? Are we really worried about you know, are we going to have a lot of sympathy for the hedge funds? It's a question.
Do we know how serious he is? Let's put it that way.
We know. So I was in an interview with Elon Musk 3 years ago where he talked about the virtue of being a private company, his regrets about having taken Tesla public. Dana Hall and I, who covers Tesla, were in the interview. We talked about, you know, how much more he prefers to run a company like SpaceX. He's also got this privately held company where it's outside the public scrutiny. It's outside the whims and the wishes of shareholders and Wall Street analysts every 3 months. Am I making the production targets? Am I hitting my cash flow targets? Am I hitting my profit targets? You get out of that for a while. That has an appeal. Remember, Michael Dell took Dell private several years ago.
Right, and everybody, huge transaction.
And every chance he got, he raved about the virtues of being private. Oh, I love this so much more, being outside the public markets, outside the scrutiny. But then again, he amassed a lot of debt. Ivan talked about this just before me. Dell amassed all this debt, needed a way to finance it, and so he's gone back. He's going back to the public markets. It's a complicated mechanism, but you know, the grass is always greener.
So Musk is going with it. He's responded to another Twitter user saying, "My hope is all current investors remain with Tesla, even if we're private. Would create special purpose fund enabling anyone to stay with Tesla. Already do this with Fidelity's SpaceX investment." So, Ivan, You're saying it's not necessarily even possible.
Well, it's possible. It's not unusual to finance deals that size. Deals have been done bigger, but one, it doesn't economically make sense for him, and two, in the stage that the company is in, it doesn't make sense because he's in a growth stage. He's not in a mature stage. Companies go private that are usually in a mature stage and they are generating significant cash, but the shares usually are not getting a valuation that shows the value of their cash generation. He needs the public markets for financing. I mean, it would be easier to raise financing in both equity and debt for him if he's a public company. And of course, if the company wasn't public, we'd miss all the fun we have following Elon Musk.
Shares have already been up after a report from the Financial Times that the Saudi Investment Authority has built up a big stake, 3 to 5%. Does that give Musk some more comfort here or some wiggle room?
Well, the more that he would have other equity investors willing to commit their equity to his going private transaction would help. But I still don't think in the long run it benefits the company. Also, you need to be a public company in his situation so he can attract and compensate key employees with the use of stock.
Tom, what else are we watching here?
We're trying to find out where is this secured financing coming from, that he talks about. We do have to take him seriously until proven otherwise. Who are the other big shareholders who come to mind, who have a lot of money and are looking for ways to deploy it, and who have a lot of patience? Someone who comes to mind, obviously, is SoftBank. We know Google tried to buy Tesla at one point, way back when. Apple is often seen as a potential acquirer. Are there enough of these parties out there who could get in bed together? And remember who helped Dell, and that was Silver Lake. So we've got a lot of lines out to find out exactly where this financing, if it's real, is coming from.
A lot of money and a lot of patience. Sounds like the perfect Tesla investor. Tom Giles, our Bloomberg Tech executive editor, thanks so much. Ivan Feinseth at Tigris Financial Partners, thank you so much for hustling over here to give us your thoughts.